Am I the asshole for abandoning my dying father who replaced me with the kid who made my life hell? Hey, before we move on to the video, please subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. Thanks. I never thought I'd be writing this, but here we are. I'm shaking as I type this because I've been carrying this anger for so long, and now everyone is telling me I'm the villain. So I need to know, am I the asshole? Let me start from the beginning, because the full story is necessary to understand why I made the choice I did. I'm 32 now, but this all started when I was 17. My mom died when I was 14, and it was just me and my dad after that. Our relationship was already strained because he blamed me for my mom's death. She died in a car accident coming to pick me up from a school event because I'd missed the bus. I know it wasn't really my fault, but my dad made sure I never forgot that she was only in that car because of me. After Mom died, Dad became distant and angry. He'd work late every night, drink beer in front of the TV, and barely acknowledge my existence. When he did talk to me, it was usually to criticize something I'd done wrong. My grades weren't good enough. I was too quiet. I didn't help enough around the house. I was just like my mother, which he said like it was a curse. But the real hell started my junior year of high school. There was this kid, Marcus, who made my life miserable. He was everything I wasn't: big, loud, popular, athletic. And he seemed to have it out for me specifically. He'd slam me into lockers, steal my lunch money, pour drinks on my homework, and humiliate me in front of everyone. The worst part was how he'd do it with his smile, like he genuinely enjoyed watching me suffer. I tried fighting back once. Marcus had cornered me in the bathroom and was shoving my head toward the toilet while his friends laughed. I managed to elbow him in the stomach and run. He found me after school and beat me so badly I had to go to the hospital. When my dad picked me up, he didn't ask if I was okay. He asked what I'd done to deserve it. That's when I realized my dad was ashamed of me. He saw me as weak, as a disappointment. Marcus was everything he wished his son could be. The situation got worse when Marcus started having problems at home. His parents were getting divorced, and apparently it was getting ugly. Marcus started acting out even more at school, and that's when the unthinkable happened. My dad, who worked as a supervisor at the local factory, knew Marcus's dad through work. When Marcus's dad asked if Marcus could stay with us for a few weeks while they sorted out their custody situation, my dad said yes. Without asking me. Without even warning me. I'll never forget the day Marcus walked into our house with his duffel bag, smirking at me like he'd won some kind of prize. "Hey, roomie," he said, and I wanted to disappear into the floor. Those few weeks turned into months. And in that time, I watched my father give Marcus everything he'd never given me. Attention, approval, pride. Dad would come home from work and ask Marcus about his day, about football practice, about girls. He'd ruffle Marcus's hair and laugh at his jokes. He'd take him to baseball games and teach him how to change the oil in the car. Meanwhile, I was invisible. Worse than invisible. I was the inconvenience they both had to tolerate. Marcus played the part perfectly. Around my dad, he was the perfect son. Respectful, helpful, grateful. But when Dad wasn't looking, he made my life hell. He'd eat my food, wear my clothes, break my things. He'd bring friends over and they'd trash my room while I was at school. He'd tell my dad lies about me to get me in trouble. The worst part was watching my dad's face light up when Marcus walked into a room, knowing he'd never looked at me that way. Not once. The breaking point came during my senior year. I'd been working part-time at a grocery store, saving money for college. I had almost $3,000 saved up, which felt like a fortune to me. I kept it in a coffee can hidden in my closet because I didn't trust having a bank account my dad could access. One day, the money was gone. All of it. I knew it was Marcus, but I had no proof. When I confronted him, he just shrugged and said maybe I'd miscounted. When I told my dad, he accused me of being irresponsible and probably losing it myself. But then Marcus showed up the next day with a brand new leather jacket that cost exactly what I'd saved. When I pointed this out to my dad, he said Marcus had been saving his allowance. What allowance? I'd never gotten an allowance in my life. That night, I lost it. I screamed at my dad, told him he was a terrible father, that Mom would be ashamed of him, that he'd replaced his own son with my bully. I told him I hated him, and I hated Marcus, and I couldn't wait to leave and never come back. My dad's face went cold. "You want to leave? Then leave. You're 18 in 3 months anyway. Consider this your early birthday present." He kicked me out that night. In February. With nothing but the clothes on my back and the $50 I had in my wallet. I spent the next 3 months couch surfing with friends, sleeping in my car, and working double shifts at the grocery store to save money for a deposit on an apartment. I graduated high school by the skin of my teeth, and I did it all alone. My dad didn't come to graduation. Marcus did, though. He sat in the family section wearing a suit my dad had bought him, and he waved at me like we were old friends. I moved 3 states away that summer and didn't look back. I worked construction during the day and went to community college at night. It took me 6 years to get my degree, but I did it. I became an electrician, started my own business, and slowly built a life for myself. I met Sarah when I was 26. She was patient with me, understanding about my trust issues and my complicated relationship with family. We got married 2 years later, and now we have a beautiful daughter, Emma, who's 3 years old. I thought I'd moved on. I thought I'd healed. But then, 6 months ago, I got a call that changed everything. It was Marcus. I almost didn't answer because I didn't recognize the number, but something made me pick up. "Hey man," he said, like we were old buddies. "It's Marcus. We need to talk." I hung up. He called back immediately. "Wait, don't hang up. It's about your dad. He's sick." I hung up again, but the seed was planted. Against my better judgment, I called him back an hour later. "What's wrong with him?" I asked. "Liver cancer. It's bad. He's got maybe 6 months." I felt nothing. No sadness. No relief. Just nothing. "Why are you calling me?" "Because he wants to see you. He's been asking for you." I laughed. Actually laughed. Now he wants to see me? Where was he when I was homeless? Where was he when I graduated college? When I got married? When my daughter was born? Look, I know it's complicated. No, it's not complicated. He made his choice. He chose you. There was a long pause. Then Marcus said something that made my blood run cold. "He didn't choose me, man. I chose him. And I took everything. I should have hung up then. But I had to know." "What do you mean?" "After you left, I played the perfect son. I got him to put me on his bank accounts, his insurance, his will. I convinced him to take out loans against the house to pay for my college. I made him think I was going to take care of him in his old age. My heart was pounding. And then I cleaned him out. Took everything and disappeared. That was 2 years ago. I couldn't breathe. You're telling me you conned him?" "I'm telling you I played the long game. He threw away his real son for a fake one, and I made sure he knew it. I left him a note explaining exactly what I'd done and why. Told him I'd never forgiven him for the way he treated you, and that I wanted him to know what it felt like to be abandoned. I was so angry I could barely speak. You're calling me now because you feel guilty?" "I'm calling you because he's dying alone in a shitty apartment with no money and no family, and maybe you're a better person than both of us." I hung up and blocked his number. But the damage was done. I couldn't stop thinking about it. Sarah found me sitting in my truck in our driveway at 2 a.m., staring at my phone. "What's wrong?" she asked. I told her everything. About Marcus, about my dad, about the phone call. She listened without judgment, holding my hand while I cried for the first time in years. "What do you want to do?" she asked finally. "I don't know. Part of me wants to go see him. But part of me thinks he deserves exactly what he got." "You don't have to decide tonight," she said. But I did have to decide, because the calls started coming. First from my dad's neighbor, then from his doctor, then from social services. Apparently, Marcus had given them my number as his emergency contact. They all said the same thing. He was dying, he had no one, and he was asking for me. I ignored them all for weeks. Then my dad called me himself. His voice was weak, raspy from the cancer and the treatments. "Son," he said, and I almost hung up right there. He'd never called me son before. "I know I don't deserve it, but I need your help." "I'm not your son," I said. "You made that very clear 15 years ago. I made a mistake. I was grieving your mother, and I was angry, and I took it out on you. I'm sorry. Sorry." After 15 years, he was sorry. "Where was Marcus when you needed him?" I asked. There was a long pause. "He's gone. He took everything and left. I know you probably think I deserved it, and maybe I did. But I'm dying, and I'm scared, and I don't have anyone else. You had someone else. You had me. And you threw me away. I know. I know I did. And I'll regret it for the rest of my life. But I'm begging you, please. I need help with the medical bills, with the treatments. I need someone to drive me to appointments. You need a son," I said. "Too bad you threw yours away." I hung up and blocked his number too. But the calls kept coming from other numbers. His doctor, his social worker, his neighbor. They painted a picture of a man dying alone in poverty, abandoned by the person he'd trusted most. They told me he talked about me constantly, that he had old photos of me on his nightstand, that he cried when he talked about the mistakes he'd made. Sarah was supportive but conflicted. I can't tell you what to do, she said. But I will say this, you're not doing this for him. You'd be doing it for yourself. So you don't have to wonder what if for the rest of your life. My friends were split. Some said I should go, that he was still my father and forgiveness would set me free. Others said I didn't owe him anything, that he'd made his bed and now he could lie in it. But it was my 3-year-old daughter who helped me make the decision. We were playing in the backyard when she asked, "Daddy, where's your daddy?" "He's far away, sweetheart." "Why don't we visit him?" How do you explain to a 3-year-old that sometimes parents hurt their children so badly that they can never forgive them? How do you tell her that her grandfather chose a stranger over his own son? I thought about what kind of man I wanted to be. What kind of father? What kind of example I wanted to set for Emma. So I made my decision. I drove to his town last month. I didn't tell him I was coming. I wanted to see for myself what his life had become. He was living in a studio apartment in a bad part of town. The building smelled like urine and mold. His apartment was barely furnished, a bed, a small table, a TV that looked like it was from the 90s. There were pill bottles everywhere, medical equipment, and yes, there were old photos of me on his nightstand. Pictures from when I was little, before Mom died, before everything went wrong. He answered the door in a bathrobe, and I barely recognized him. He'd lost at least 50 pounds, his hair was gone from the chemo, and his skin was yellow from the liver disease. He looked like he was already dying. When he saw me, he started crying. "You came," he whispered. "You actually came." I stood in his doorway, looking at this broken man who used to be my father, and I felt nothing. No anger, no sadness, no pity, just emptiness. "I came to tell you something," I said. He stepped aside, gesturing for me to come in. I didn't move. "I came to tell you that I forgive you," I said. "Not because you deserve it, but because I deserve peace. I forgive you for choosing Marcus over me. I forgive you for kicking me out. I forgive you for making me feel like I wasn't good enough to be your son." He was sobbing now. "Thank you. Thank you so much. I know I don't deserve it, but thank you." "I'm not finished," I said. "I forgive you, but I'm not going to help you. You're going to die alone, just like you left me to live alone. You're going to be scared and in pain, just like I was scared and in pain when I was sleeping in my car at 17. And you're going to know that the person you chose over your own son stole everything from you and left you with nothing." His face crumpled. "Please, I'm begging you. I know I was wrong. I know I was terrible to you. But I'm dying." "I was dying too," I said. "I was dying inside every day I lived in that house, watching you love someone else's child more than your own. I was dying when I was homeless and hungry and alone. But you didn't care then. I'll make it up to you. I'll leave you everything in my will." I actually laughed. "What everything? Marcus already took it all, remember? And even if you had something to leave me, I wouldn't want it. I built my own life. I have my own family. I have a daughter who will never doubt that her father loves her. Let me meet her," he begged. "Let me be a grandfather to her. You think I would let you anywhere near my daughter? You think I would risk her feeling the way you made me feel? You lost the right to be anyone's family when you threw me away." I turned to leave, but he grabbed my arm with what little strength he had left. "Please," he whispered. "I don't want to die alone." I looked down at his hand on my arm, and I felt something I hadn't felt in years, the same fear I'd felt as a child when he would look at me with disappointment. But I wasn't a child anymore. I gently removed his hand from my arm. "You won't die alone," I said. "You'll die with Marcus. In your heart, in your memories, you'll die with the son you chose. The son who betrayed you exactly the way you betrayed me." I walked away and didn't look back. I drove home and hugged my wife and daughter and told them how much I loved them. I felt lighter than I had in years. I felt free. My dad died 3 weeks later. The social worker called to tell me. There was no funeral because there was no money and no one to arrange it. He was cremated, and his ashes are sitting in a cardboard box at the funeral home because no one has claimed them. Now here's where I might be the asshole. I've been getting calls from distant relatives who found out what happened. They're furious with me. They say I'm heartless, that he was my father, and I should have helped him. They say I'm just as bad as Marcus, that I abandoned him when he needed me most. My aunt, who I hadn't spoken to in years, called me a sociopath. She said that no matter what he did, he was still my father, and I should have been there for him. She said that my mother would be ashamed of me. That one hurt, because I've always wondered what my mom would think of the man I became. But then I think about my daughter. I think about how I would never, ever make her feel the way my father made me feel. I think about how I would never choose a stranger over her, never abandon her, never make her question her worth. And I think about how I spent 15 years building a life without him. How I learned to be a man without his guidance. How I learned to be a father without his example. How I found love and success and happiness in spite of him, not because of him. So I need to know, am I the asshole for not helping my dying father after he disowned me and raised my bully instead? Because honestly, I don't feel like an asshole. I feel like a man who finally stood up for himself. I feel like a man who broke a cycle of abuse and neglect. I feel like a man who chose his own family over the people who never chose him. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe blood really is thicker than water. Maybe I should have been the bigger person. Maybe I should have helped him anyway, not for him, but for me. I don't know anymore. I'm so tired of carrying this weight. I'm tired of people telling me I'm heartless when I'm the one who had his heart broken first. I'm tired of being told I should forgive and forget when no one ever held him accountable for the pain he caused. I just want to know if I did the right thing. Because if I didn't, I'll have to live with that for the rest of my life. And I don't know if I can carry that guilt on top of everything else. So please, tell me, am I the asshole? Update. Thank you to everyone who has commented. I've been reading every single response, and I'm overwhelmed by the support. I want to address a few things that keep coming up. First, to those asking about Marcus, I have no idea where he is now. He called me that one time and then disappeared again. Part of me wonders if he thought I would thank him for his revenge on my father. If so, he was wrong. What he did wasn't justice, it was just more cruelty. My father was a terrible parent, but he didn't deserve to be financially abused by someone he trusted. Marcus didn't do what he did for me. He did it for himself. Second, to those saying I should claim my father's ashes, I won't be doing that. He's not my responsibility in death any more than I was his priority in life. If my relatives are so concerned about him, they can claim him themselves. Third, to those questioning why I went to see him at all, I needed closure. I needed to look him in the eye and tell him exactly how I felt. I needed to walk away on my own terms this time, instead of being thrown away. It was the right decision for me. Finally, to those saying I'm just like Marcus or just like my father, I respectfully disagree. I didn't steal from anyone. I didn't abandon a child. I didn't choose cruelty over compassion. I simply chose myself and my family over someone who had already made it clear I wasn't his family. I'm done feeling guilty about this. I'm done letting other people's opinions make me question my worth. I know who I am, a good husband, a good father, and a good man who survived a bad childhood and built something beautiful from the ashes. My father made his choices. I made mine, and I can live with mine. Final update. I wanted to share something that happened yesterday that really drove home why I made the right decision. My 3-year-old daughter fell off her bike and scraped her knee. It wasn't serious, but she was crying and scared. I scooped her up immediately, cleaned her wound, put a Band-Aid on it, and held her until she stopped crying. Then I told her how brave she was and how proud I was of her for trying to ride her bike. As I was tucking her into bed that night, she said, "Daddy, when I get hurt, you always make it better." And I realized, that's what fathers do. They make it better. They don't make it worse. They don't cause the hurt in the first place. My father never made anything better for me. He was the source of my pain, not the solution to it. And when I was hurt, scared, and alone, he wasn't there. I am not my father. And my daughter will never doubt that she is loved. That's all that matters. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button.